Get this
Oh
kicked
yeah.
off today. Oh my goodness. Welcome to your Tuesday masterclass, guys. I know we'll have a lot of people joining, but I'm super excited that you guys decided to show up today because we do have the Texas real estate goat, Chris Hardee, joining us today to give you guys some secrets of top producing real estate agents. And this is one of the most well kept secret in the industry. And I hope you guys are ready for it because really, realistically, it is a recipe to start your month off with a bang, taking 4 listings out of one day. And how great would that be if all of us had the ability to do that? Now, really quickly, guys, just to let you know that this season, around this season last year, is when we were pumping out all of that content about people having 6-figure months, right? And that's more than possible for all of you guys, especially with the resources that you have. So I want to condition your minds getting back into that zone of it is the season for 6-figure months. Raise your voice real quick with me if you would like to enjoy one of those 6-figure
Nick
months
Troni.
over the next couple of months.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Something like that.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Diego,
I do. I
100%.
do.
Diego,
The
Diego.
I
tools,
do.
we got the tools, we got the resources. The one thing we don't have are excuses. And today's call is going to help you get that started off. So I hope you're excited for that. Michelle Wilson,
Yeah.
why don't I just go ahead and leave it to you and let's get going.
I want to jump in real quick, talking about, tis the season. You guys have been hearing different shout outs we've been giving on the Breakfast Club. I want to shout out and highlight a handful of you guys. When you look at the surge of activity and results that are going on, we just hung up on the phone with Matt and Margaret, Matt Clark, Margaret Model, out of over in the Hoodsport market in Texas, currently having to date, this was completely opposite of this, you guys, 30 days ago, 21 pending, 20 active right now.
She said 21 pending right now, not for the year, 21 currently
At the
pending right
moment.
now, and 21 active. So that's
Right
like
now.
casino numbers. Go ahead,
Right
Michelle.
now. You guys just saw a shout out, Matt Caverts, Nick Tarani. I know you're on here. I just saw you. I think it's over 30 listings in Q1, right?
Over 30 listings in Q1. Guys, yes, when you think about it, it's possible for you too. So for those of you guys who get mad about shout outs or go like, don't be that guy. Trust me when I tell you, instead of seeing the envy, right, see the possibilities. Because when you hear these kind of shout outs, guys, you could go one of two ways. You could get envious, and some people do, right? When we post testimonials, some people do that thing where they cross their arms and go, it must be nice, right? And some people go, oh, holy shit. How do you do that? Set me up with a coaching call with Cooley and Michelle. Like, show me how to do that, please. And you guys know that when you take interest in your business, Michelle and I are more than willing to run with you, but you got to be transparent. You got to be all over us. And we love to run with those kind of agents. So don't be afraid to impose your what's the word I'm looking for? Don't be afraid to impose your ambition on us because we want to run with you. Okay.
Hey,
Michelle,
don't be afraid
you
to
still got
change.
more.
Don't
And
be afraid to change. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to change.
And you have to shift in the mindset. If they can do it, if he can do it, if she can do it, if anyone can do it, you can do it. It's all condition of your mindset, Chris, like you said, would change. Got to shout out our boy Cody Chai. I can see him up here. All of you guys.
Let's go, Cody.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Breakfast Club's been amazing, right? With you, Cody, on there right now, but 6 appointments the past 2 weeks. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Is that the most you've ever done ever before?
Ever in my whole career.
I love it.
Now, if you guys would have heard Cody on the Breakfast Club when he first started, Cody sounded like the shittiest version of a shitty person, like in terms of like sales skills and prospecting. Cody, I say that with love, right? Man, I want to tell you guys that this kid has been putting in so much work that he just might be the best person on the Breakfast Club right now. You know what I mean? And he's just getting started. And it's discipline and consistency and throwing yourself out there to the wolves, knowing that each day with each of that bruise to the ego that you get every single morning, that you get stronger. You know what I mean? And I want to make sure that all of you guys know that it's there for you too. And if you're ever feeling like you're not in control of your business, gain the skill set to actually get out there and take control. For those of you guys who are on this call and you guys know that you can pick up the phone and set a listing appointment that day, what a great feeling that is. That's called autonomy over your business. And if you don't have it, seek it out, Michelle.
Yeah, and I love it. Those of you that have been on with us for several months, you guys know what we're talking about because you've watched the transformation, which is freaking cool. And Berkeley Olson, I don't know if I saw her on here. 4 listings in January, 4 listings in February, 5 listings in March, all pending, 100% of them. Think about that Q1. So shout out to you guys. And I just want to bring up to the rest of you. I know there's a ton of other successes throughout. So don't be afraid to tell us, right? Don't be afraid to bring it up. Let us know, share what's going on. But that's the momentum that's going on right now. That doesn't paint the picture for you guys. And this is all over in different markets, right?
Oh,
We're
yeah.
talking about
1,000%.
Texas. We're talking about
Jason
Jersey.
Wyndham, best looking co-founder agent we got on this call. Congratulations to Jason Wyndham. What a jawline. Michelle?
Thanks, Cooley.
Let's dive in.
Let's
dive in. So we got a special treat for you guys today on this call. Sorry, I'm just pulling up my stuff here. So we got pro agent Chris Hardee, top left of my screen here. Yep, Diego, I see that. So let's talk about the importance of what we're going to dive in. So if you guys saw us kind of pushing out a little promotion to this yesterday and chatting about it, you know, we talk about what's one of the industry's best kept secrets, right? And this is such a great conversation.
You guys can meet
that to you.
Oh, hell yeah. It definitely is, you know, and the first thing I want to say is like, you know, why is this an industry secret? And it's because the agents that are taking listings from this source are just too damn busy doing the work and getting the results. And then the agents who are either making excuses and saying it doesn't work, or they just simply don't know enough about this income source for their business. And if you just don't capitalize on this industry secret, you're just going to risk losing out on the opportunity of working with highly motivated sellers that need the assistance of a powerful agent, like everybody needs to say, like myself, for the job of getting their property sold.
Amen. Amen. And so how many of you guys are ready to get into exactly what secret we're talking about? And how many of you guys have a feeling that you already know what we're talking about?
I think I know.
All right. Well, I'm glad. Keep that to yourself, John Martinez. Don't spoil it for the rest of us. All right. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Chris, you wanna go ahead and open us up and let's just get this unveiling going. Okay.
Yeah, you know, the big industry secret, top secret, right, is simply the fact that in each and every single market across the United States and even outside the United States, the biggest day to prospect and tackle this is going to be on the first of the month. And of course, it's going to be for expired listings, right? In our market in Houston, we'll have 300, 400, 500 expireds each and every single month come off the market, and we want to capitalize on it. You need to be capitalizing on it in your marketplace. And on a daily basis, outside of the first of the month or the day before the last, it's probably about 30 to 40 homes that expire, right? So we're talking about this insanely major increase in properties that come off the market. And there's agents that capitalize on it somewhat. They start making some calls, they prospect, but they don't really level up the way they need to in order to capitalize on it at the highest level. And that's what you guys are on here for, to really learn, hey, what do I need to do step by step to put myself in a position where this one day can produce 3, 4, 5, 6 transactions for me very, very quickly. And because we already know they've decided before to hire a real estate agent, now they're just looking for the right real estate agent. It's not a situation where they don't want to hire an agent. They've never hired an agent. They're just looking for somebody that can close the deal and make it happen. And if you capitalize on it correctly, you're going to get a lot of results from it. And that's what we're all about today.
Hey, Chris, how many expired listings did you have in your marketplace January 1st? Like the first day, probably January 1st.
I'm going to say it's probably anywhere from 13 to 1,500.
13 to 1,500. I thought it was more like 2,000, 3,000.
It may have been,
like
honestly.
That. I think it was like 3,000. Yeah. And so I want you guys to understand that, you know, we're always searching for opportunities, and people pay, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars every single month to try to create opportunities or to get in front of people who actually want what you do for a living, right? Every first of the month comes out a laundry list of people who are raising their hand, who are saying, I want what you do for a living. I, in fact, hired somebody to do what you do for a living, and they failed me, right? And so what is the value of that to you guys first and foremost? Do you guys place a high value on that? Or, because some of you guys might consider yourselves good prospectors, are you guys just like, it's just another day, right? And so what I want to make sure that we do is just understand that number one, understand the opportunity at hand for us every single first of the month. And number two, have a formulated plan that we can execute so that we can actually take full advantage of that day, right? And so how many of you guys typically, and just show me your hands or show me your voices, unmute your microphones, but can some of you guys tell me if you have an actual formulated plan and an approach that you take to that day? Or is it just, I do my prospecting time as normal? Give me some ideas of what you guys got going on now, or some plans of action that you guys already have, if any.
Electronic.
I call through more than once with different numbers. So if I call
So
through the
this-
nearest buyers in the morning, I'll use different phone number and call through them at 2 o'clock, and then go back at 5 o'clock and call them again.
So the silence on this call and everybody not rushing to their mute buttons to go like, hey, this is my plan of action, or hey, this is the approach I take, tells me that this is one of the biggest voids that we have. Now, I talk to people every first of the month, right? And you guys know that on the Breakfast Club, I'm juiced to the gills getting ready for the first of the month, right? And when I follow up with people after the first, I hear a lot of lame stuff. Like, oh, well, yeah, I got my one appointment, right? Or, hey, well, I had a listing appointment, or I had this, right? And I didn't really prospect. And that's habitual. Like, it's not a one-off thing. It's habitual for most agents, right? And so we've got to start changing our mindsets and start looking at the Super Bowl days of prospecting and treating it just like that. You guys have heard me say over and over and over again that if you don't have a plan of action for the first of the month, that's like Pizza Hut not having a plan of action for Super Bowl Sunday, right? Like, what would happen to the manager of Pizza Hut if he didn't make some staffing changes, right? If he wasn't ordering more product and putting his restaurant in a position to win Super Bowl Sunday? Well, he would be derelict of duty and he would be fired, right? And so we've got to look at our opportunities the same way, because we are all business owners, and we've got to start the preparation to make sure that we get the most out of that day. And really, guys, how we perform on that day could be the difference between us actually leaving that day with 4, 5, 6, in some cases, guys, 10 new listings from one day of prospecting. Okay. Now, I want all of your guys' buy-in, and even you guys with your cameras off. How many of you guys think it's actually possible, like just for your suspension of belief, that you could take 4 listings in one day? Raise your voice real quick if you think that's possible.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Raise your voice
Yep.
if you don't think we landed on the moon and you don't think that that's possible. It's okay if you don't think we landed on the moon. I'm just talking about my skeptics out there. Like, honestly, speak up if you feel like that's not really a possibility. Like, that sounds nice, but I don't think that that could actually happen to me. Can you raise your voice real quick? Don't be ashamed. I won't judge you.
Aaron
In
Yoon.
front of your face. Okay. Aaron Yoon. I love it. Aaron Yoon's always a skeptic. If you want some conspiracy theories, go to Aaron Yoon. He's got some great ones. Yeah. So I'm glad that all of you guys, we kind of have the collective belief that it's possible, because that's a great foundation to start from. What we're going to be doing today is actually giving you some tactics, a roadmap starting 5 days prior, and then a roadmap on the day of. So that way you've got your inventory ordered, you've got your staff hired, you've got your operation hours taken care of, and you can make the most pizzas in that day. Was that a shitty analogy, guys? Pizza Hut?
I actually
Or was
think
that
it was
pretty
It's
good?
a great
I think it was a great
analogy.
analogy.
Super Bowl Sunday's busiest day of the year.
Domino.
I love that.
The
I
thing I was
love
going to
that.
follow up with that, Cooley, is like that manager's doing that stuff 30 days in advance. You know, it's
Yeah.
not like the night before he's sitting there going, oh shit, I got to make it happen. Right. That's definitely not the strategy. And if the Pizza Hut manager making 35 grand a year can get his act together, what could you do? And, you know, just to follow up real quick on something you said on that belief that you had, I think a lot of people have the belief that it could happen. I think they just push that belief from becoming a reality sooner than later. And so they go, at some point, I'm going to do that. But we're setting you up right now. We have more than 5 days in advance, and we're going to put you in a position that if you capitalize on it, you can be one of those people, and then you can be Aaron Yoon, and you can do your own academy and say, look how I got 4 listings in one day, you know?
Amen, Aaron. How good would that look on your Instagram?
Yeah.
Pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. All right. So, Chris, if you want to just break down, because we're getting about 20 minutes in now already, and I want to make sure that how many of you guys have note-taking ability right now? How many of you guys are relying on the recording? All right. So I want to make sure that we've got our pens handy, digitally taking notes, whatever we do, because I want all of you guys prepared. And I'm going to be humming this on the Breakfast Club every single morning. So, Chris, 5-day preparation is what's important, right? We talked about this, you and me, this morning, about things that you need to do leading up to the day to make sure that you're prepared. If you don't mind going through that list with us and just walking us down that road, why these things are important, and what you have your team at Pro Agent doing down there each and every single month.
Yeah, I think number one, we have to master the winning mindset for expired listings on the first of every month. So you need to really make sure that what you're telling yourself are very powerful affirmations, powerful statements. You know, I'm coming into this and I'm taking no less than blank amount of listings on the first of the month. I need to literally have a itemized list of what I'm telling myself. And really it's what you're selling yourself on, right? And so if you can start telling yourself this on a regular basis up to the first, you're going to put yourself in a position where you're going to believe it a lot more. You're creating a lot of clarity in your mindset versus just going, oh shit, it's the first of the month, I guess I got to go crazy today. No, we need to start selling ourselves. So I'm taking no less than blank listings on the first of the month. I will set blank amount of appointments on the first of the month. I am the best agent to solve the problems that these sellers have. I will present and handle objections like the best of the best, and nobody will provide the level of service, care, and attention that I will. And so it doesn't matter what I say, guys, but I think that if you take at least 10 points that matter the most for you, some strong affirmations, and you need to just be constantly selling yourself on those statements on a regular basis, right? And then the next step on here is we got to master the skills.
Hey, Chris, real quick, can I just jump in here real quick? Now, this is probably one of the most overlooked areas, guys. Like anytime you hear somebody saying, hey, you need to do affirmations, it's like, yeah, okay, guru, thank you for your time. Scroll up, right? And because like that's nothing new. It's not anything that you guys haven't heard before, but it really starts with the intent, right? It's the mental approach, getting yourself prepared and stating exactly what you're going to do, right? Now, whether you believe in the law of attraction or any other kind of like neuroscience voodoo, it doesn't matter, right? You say that thing out loud, you start conditioning the intent that you're going to put in, right? You don't want that day to happen by accident, right? Set up some goals for yourself. One of the reasons why you don't, right, is because you don't want to know whether you failed that day or not, right? But the problem with not saying that stuff out loud, with not like trying to bring that stuff to fruition, is you're going to fail all the time then, right? And it's okay because you're not going to know, right? But not knowing that you're failing for so long is going to lead to a lifestyle of failing, right? And that's the importance of making sure that your mindset is good. You're stating out loud exactly what your intent is, what you're going to do that day, all the way up until that day, because the likelihood that you'll be in the right mindset that morning is going to be bar none, right? And also, it puts the importance on the day so that everything else that you're dealing with 5 days prior, like you're setting your schedule and everything up with that in mind. Now, raise your hand if you guys had the best of intent to prospect on the first day of the month, and then, oops, I set a listing appointment, or oops, I had an inspection on that day, or oops, another first of the month I missed because I'm doing a non-income producing activity because I didn't prepare for that day. Why? Because I wasn't reminding myself each and every single day that that was something that I needed to do. Are you guys feeling me on that? Yes or no? Just give me some love.
For sure.
Awesome.
For sure.
Yes.
Awesome. So the importance of affirmations. Chris, can you just list those off one more time?
Yeah, so I'm not taking any less than blank amount of listings today on the first of the month from expireds. I will set blank amount of appointments on the first. I'm the best agent to solve the problems that these sellers have. I will present and handle objections like the best of the best. Nobody will provide the level of service, care, and attention that I will. You know, and to kind of piggyback on what you're talking about, last Thursday in our pro agent strategy session, the strategy that I really kind of unlocked for everybody was how to like recalibrate your mind. And so I took a deep dive in looking into kind of human behaviors and what will happen for a lot of you guys. You'll get used to not getting a lot of results in your lead generation. You'll get used to negative or you'll get used to positive, right? It's your way, it's your body's way of having homeostasis. And so the only way to actually get out of that, whether, you know, for example, if you know somebody and they're always pissed off, that's their body's clock. And the only way for that person to get out of that is they literally, I know it sounds corny, but they have to meditate. You have to spend 10, 20, 30 minutes a day envisioning the life and envisioning the results and envisioning what you want out of everything that you're doing. And you need to envision it in a way where you can smell it. Hey, you want to take your entire family on vacation? Can you smell the ocean? Can you look at the food? Can you smell the food coming? Can you just feel the vibrance? Can you feel the energy? You need to take time each and every single day looking at your day, looking at your life in the way that you want it to be so that your body knows the direction, your mind knows the direction where you need to be taking it versus just staying in this constant wheelhouse of negative or positive, but not really getting any results out of it.
Awesome. And can we give a round of applause for Chris using the big word homeostasis on this call? Congratulations on that. All right. So obviously, Chris, getting your mindset right, conditioning your brain to bring these things to fruition. What's next?
Yeah, what's next is going to be, here's your 5-day plan leading up to the first of the month, right? So mastering the skills to set multiple appointments and take multiple listings. And so you need to participate in the Pro Agent Breakfast Club. I'm sorry, in the Breakfast Club, of course. And guys, if anybody on this call is not part of the Breakfast Club every single morning, get your head out of your ass and get to work. Because if that doesn't pump you up in the morning, if that doesn't get you going, if that doesn't get you in a position where you're that much better on the phone, lead generating, then, you know, it just is what it is. Next thing on here is 1 hour a day. Like this is that 5 days leading up to it. Can I spend 1 hour a day where I'm working on my expired script with another agent? They could be in your office. They could be across the country. It doesn't really matter. Maybe you need to split it up in 2 sessions. Maybe you need to do it with 2 different agents. Find people that will commit at the level you're going to commit to. Just imagine if you and another agent spend 30 minutes in the morning, then you get with another agent for 30 minutes at some other time, and you guys are battling it out, giving each other the objections, being very real and cutthroat. Mimic exactly what Cooley is doing with you guys on the Breakfast Club. Play the role of Cooley in that conversation when you are the seller with that other person, and allow them to play him when you are the agent, right? And so you have to be tough. It can't be no, kindergarten bullshit. You have to be relentless about it, because these sellers are looking for somebody who can articulate things correctly. And the more limited the more limiting the quality is of the role play that you have, it's going to come across on the phone, and it's just going to be a waste of time. A lot of times the agents think they're doing something productive, but the way they're doing it is making it a waste of time. Next thing on here was 30 minutes of objection handling with another agent. Now, somebody may say, well, you just said 1 hour of role playing. Role playing for me is somebody going through the entire dialogue and going, you're closing, but you're going through the dialogue that you have in front of yourself, right? I'm talking about for 5 days, 30 minutes each day, where you get you, maybe another 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 agents, and you are just giving each other the objections, and you are responding like clockwork, getting clean with those responses, right? And so a lot of you guys that are on the Breakfast Club, I've heard you have so many amazing canned responses, and it's just taking that to the next level for those 5 days leading up to it. So no matter what they tell you, it's almost like you've been waiting for them to say it, and how you come across is going to come across in a way that they can tell that you're a prepared real estate agent that can handle their problems. The next thing on here is,
real quick, Chris, the real value of the Breakfast Club, guys, is not just that you're on there. It's what you take from the Breakfast Club and leverage with your individual role play partners too, right? Because sometimes you guys don't get the opportunity to perform, and you got to be a little bit more selfish, which is, man, I need some me time. You know what I mean? Yeah. I need some me time. I need to get in my reps, and I need to break off and just take the lessons that you're learning on the Breakfast Club and say, these are the things that I want to work on. Here's some feedback that I got on the Breakfast Club. I really want to work on that, and leverage that as a tool for your one-on-one role play sessions, right? But you see how Chris is talking about, obviously, conditioning your skill set every single day, taking it to the next level, like 5 days in a row, to put yourself in a position where on the first you feel like an animal, right? You feel like, man, there's not a lot that these people can throw at me that I haven't had thrown at me all week, right? And I know I'm going to work really hard for these opportunities on this day. I want to make sure that I get the most out of it. Chris?
Hey, if it's the Super Bowl of real estate, how would your favorite player be playing the game 5 days leading up to the big game, right? How are they going to strategize? Are you guys going to let the manager at the Domino's that Cooley's talking about outskill and out-strategize you in the days leading up to the Super Bowl? Because he's going to be working on it for more than 2 hours a day. All I'm asking is that you spend at least 2 hours a day, working on those skills. How much better if I took an A version of you and a B version of you, and the A version is doing 2 hours of this kind of work each and every single day, and the other one is doing half or less? Who are you guys going to bet money on? We're going to bet money on the A player, right? And so we have to make sure we're doing that. The next thing on here is, one listing presentation role play each day with another agent. Most people on this call, if you're not setting a lot of appointments on the phone, it's because you don't even believe in your presentation. You probably don't believe that if you went to go meet with them, that you can get them to sign a contract. When you know that your presentation is so on point, you're not, you just want to get in front of people because you know people sign contracts with you because the presentation's down, right? So can you find another agent, whether you're doing it through Zoom, whether you're doing it in person, to do a listing presentation? I've created a 6-step, I can probably share it later, but I've created a 6-step listing presentation role play guide. If you follow that guide, you're going to become an animal. And it makes you take the time of playing out all the scenarios, everything that could be at hand for you. And you could just look at the leads and the appointments and the listings you've recently taken and devise some of those, just the reality of some of those scenarios and play that into your role play so that you're not just like lollygagging through the process, right? You really got to focus. This is for an expired presentation, and I'm going to maximize the first because each day I did my presentation at least one time. And I think that if you did your presentation, on average 3 times a week, you're going to be a stronger listing agent. And I would say this, if you go on 10 appointments and you're taking any less than 7, you should be doing your listing presentation role play no less than 3 or 4 times a week. And it really should be every single day. It should go, hey, I'm going to do my listing presentation role play every single day until I'm a 8 out of 10 guy. I'm a 9 out of 10 girl. Because that's what's going to make you that kind of a person, and not working on it is not going to help you. Okay. Next thing is going to be, write your listing presentation. And this is the reason why I want you to write the listing presentation. Does anybody on this call, if you have a listing presentation, when you go and you're in front of a seller, are you just freestyling your presentation? Have you memorized your presentation? And even if you have memorized your presentation, are you bringing your presentation over in a script form where it's typed out? Because if you are, that's not really I want you to play in the psyche of a seller, right? So I'll tell an agent who joins, I go, you need to write your listing presentation each and every single day. It's going to take you about 20 minutes to write it one time, 20 to 25 minutes. I want you to write it super clean. And I want you to make it take 3, 4, 5, 6 pages to write out, okay? Don't make it all like jam-pack into one page. I want it to be 5, 6 pages. The reason why is this. If I go and sit down with the seller, and I say, thank you so much for having me over. I'm excited about getting your home on the market and getting it sold. Before I came out here, I spent several hours going over the market information. I wrote down tons of notes and a lot of questions. Is it okay if I bring those questions out as I go through my presentation? They're going to see you with 4, 5, 6 pages that have been written all across because you've taken the time to do it, versus all the other agents print out some bullshit brochure and they look like every other generic agent in the game. Imagine this. If you're the seller and your home was on the market for an extended period of time and it did not sell, and I meet with you and you see that I wrote out 5, 6 pages of notes, what kind of impact is that going to have on your mindset? Is anybody doing this right now? Like get off the mute and say yes if you do this whatsoever. No. Okay. So, that would be part of that. That'd be part of that process. Right. And so, mastering the strategy to capitalize on the first of the month is next. Right. So, having multiple listing presentation packets prepared before the first. Most of the OGs on this call, they already have packets and contracts in their car ready to go. But a lot of times agents will forget. And so you start setting appointments. And the reason why you're not going to maximize on the first of the month is because you're too busy doing some of the legwork that should have been done in advance. You should have your pre-listing packets, your contracts, everything in folders ready to go. You should keep 10 of those in your car at all times. Most of the pro agents here, I know they got 5, 10 packets in their car ready to go. They've literally taken listings because they've had that information with them at the right time, right? So we got to maximize and make sure we're doing that correctly, right? Next thing on here is I know some of you guys make calls from your house. You need to dress a listing appointment ready. Guys, you need to be listing appointment ready at all times. It makes a big difference. When you have your suit and tie on and you're making the calls at the house or at the office, you are ready to go. And you're not in some position where you're like, oh, my clothes are in the other room and blah, 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 blah. You feel different when you got that suit on, and you do. And if you're a woman, lady suit, whatever you girls wear, you already know. Next thing on here is, we're going to talk about calling. And I know, for the first of the month, Cooley's going to go over, what time to start calling. Leading up to the first of the month, make sure at bare minimum, you are starting at 8 o'clock on the dot. You need to get good at that race, right? And if you can start earlier, outside of that, we got to break the habit of prospecting and making contacts and stop making contacts and stop prospecting because somebody's calling, somebody's emailing. I got to go to the restroom. You need to get really good at prospecting for 55-minute increments. right? The real killers who get on the phones and make calls go crazy for long distances at a time versus a typical agent has a bad call, good call, great call, and then they go tell people about it. They go to the restroom, they get water, they're just wasting time. You're really looking to condition yourself leading up to the first of the month. If you're doing a lot of prospecting leading up to the first of the month, if you're being very efficient with your time, very efficient with how you work on your skills, right? The day of, you're gonna be able to blast past each and every single person that's around you or that's competing with you. And that's what you're looking to do, right? Anything on this school you want to touch on?
Yeah, man. When you guys hear this, hopefully it makes some of you guys insecure a little bit, because you have to understand that there are people like Chris Hardee out there that you're actually competing with, right? There are people like me who you're out there competing with each and every single day. And so when you hear stuff like this, you have to ask yourself, man, he's talking about practicing your listing presentation like more than once a week, right? More than twice a week. Yeah, these guys exist. And these guys are the guys who are doing all the business in your marketplace, right? Or when you go to that expired appointment, they tell you, sorry, I listed with Chris Hardee already. These are the guys that are taking your business. Why? Because they're taking the time to professionalize their industry. They're not in it to just get by, right? They're not in it to take part. They're in it to take over, as you guys always hear me quote Conor McGregor on that one, right? And so, like, if it overwhelms you a little bit, like, it's fine. You have to write it down and you have to build it into your schedule, right? Because you can hope, wish, and pray that you're going to do these kind of things. But if you leave it up to your noggin, you got to ask yourself, how many times has my noggin failed me, right? Ooh, you're not going to get me this time, noggin, right? You're going to make sure that you write it down and you've got an actual plan of action for that. Because yes, that is what you are competing with. Anybody have any questions for Chris Hardee on that real quick?
Yeah,
Would you guys be, go ahead. Who said, yeah, I do?
Hayden, when you write out your whole listing presentation, are you writing out like the generic one that you do, or are you like specializing it for this specific house and situation?
No, I think that the presentation that we follow works for, you can have some notes to the side if you need to, right? So I would be writing out the listing presentation, and then let's say you're actually going to do the role play, right? I would do that role play with another agent based on the scenario that you have in hand. That's what our agents do. So if they're going to go on an appointment at 6 o'clock tonight, it's been listed with 2 other people. Every agent's listed it for 4%, whatever, the list of scenarios could be at play here, right? They're going to present their role play based off of that information, right? And so the scripting itself, I would just, each person on here, if you just wrote the listing presentation out 5 days a week for the next 30 days, I know it sounds like, oh my God, I got to write it out. It will change your life. It will change your life. And then you can just adapt based on their scenario, but you'll find that the script is made to be stuck to. You need to stick to the script. And of course, you can ask more questions based on their scenario. The goal is to get back on the script so you can get back to them signing a contract.
Chris asked me what I think about that.
What do you think about that?
So what I think about that, Caden, is obviously we're preparing for the first of the month, right? So you're not going to be role-playing scenarios or writing anything out for any type of specific scenario. But if you make this maybe even like like this is for the first of the month specifically, but on all of the other weeks, I'm going to do this light, right? I'm going to same concept. Like, you'll be prepared for any scenario. The great news is, guys, like, raise your hand, honestly, if like recently you've gotten an objection that's really been like, oh, what? That's weird. No, you haven't, because they're all basically the same, right? They're about like 15 objections or scenarios that you're going to go through professionalizing your process. You're going to get good at all of these, right? Anybody else have any questions for Chris real quick?
Real quick, what I would say
Chris.
is that you need to have a list of the objections that person gave you. So like if you have an appointment you're going to be going on, the presentation is the same presentation, but now you know some of the things beforehand based on when you pre-qualify them or things that they said on the phone, right? So you're gonna know those things. And just like Cooley said, they don't change. Expireds have about the same 10 objections. Half of those are the same as the for sale by owner objections. They're not going to be too much different. Everybody knows another agent. Everybody knows another agent that will do it for free. Everybody has another agent that's in their family. Whatever the case is, it's going to be the same. And before somebody asks another question, I like to say, when it comes to like role playing your scripts, guys, and role playing your listing presentation, if you're not doing it, it's because you're really not a business person. You're just some salesperson who thinks that they're a business person. What I mean by that is the other day I'm talking to an agent in the office. She's going on a lot of appointments. She's taking a ton of listings, but the ratio is not that good. Well, how often are you working on your presentation? Maybe role playing it once a week. Well, that's the difference between, let's say if she takes 5 out of 10, if she role played that presentation 3 or 4 or 5 times out of the week, what if she would have got 7 out of 10? If her average check is $7,000, in some of your markets, your average check is $17,000. So 3 times 7 for her is 21 more thousand a month. So what kind of a business person am I if I'm allowing $21,000 to go down the drain just because I'm not professional enough to work on my presentation?
Amen. And to touch on really quickly, a question that Kaden asked, right? When we talk about getting ready for game time, like game day, right? Role playing this narrative, like we should be 100% prepared going into this day. We should feel good going into this day if we're following all of this. And that will be one of the reasons why you guys don't make any more phone calls, right? Because you get that one appointment and you feel like you got to hug it, kiss it, squeeze it, keep it for your very own. Hashtag Elmira, Tiny Toons. Don't know if you guys watched that growing up, but and then you'll spend all your time on that and you won't be prospecting, right? The objective is to go all in on that first day of the month, right? To literally play Pac-Man that day. So I want to go into like what our day should actually look like. Okay. Number one, guys, get to bed early. I hate giving people bedtime advice, but on the first day of the month, the night before, it's important that we prepare. We got to wake up a little bit earlier than we normally do. If we're literally wiping the boogers out of our eyes on the Breakfast Club call, we're doing it wrong. You know what I mean? Because we're not actually mentally there. We're not actually mentally prepared. And so we should be getting up a little bit earlier, being dressed like we're going on a listing presentation to approach our prospecting calls. Okay. How many of you guys are typically dressed to impress on that Breakfast Club in the morning? Raise your voices.
Not totally.
Yeah, there is.
Right. I know. And so if you want to take that a little bit more professionally, be a little bit more professional when you're on there. Right. And so obviously, before we jump on that Breakfast Club, we've gone through our morning routine. I'm not going to give you all the affirmation stuff, maybe whatever your morning routine is, but go for it and then be prepared. Pull up all of your data. Everything that you need to get ready to make that call should be ready to just press the dial button before you even jump on that Breakfast Club. That way, when you finish, which we're going to finish early at 7:45, to give you a jump on the competition, you're just ready to go, right? As soon as we say paid in full starts now, all of us should be making our first dial. Are you guys with me on that? How many of you guys are ready to commit to that now, right? I'm going to go to bed a little bit earlier, wake up a little bit earlier, get prepared to get on the phones. I love it. Okay.
Cool.
So, yes.
I just want to mention one thing, and this is kind of goes right back to before the day of. We all know that on the day of, we should be doing a shit ton of prospecting in the sense of like, I'm spending 5, 6, 7 hours going crazy, right? You have to condition yourself for, like, most people are gonna have to condition themselves for this stuff, right? The 5 days leading up, you need to really test your boundaries on how much prospecting you can do. If you typically do 2 or 3, can I do 5 or 6? If you don't have any appointments, what else are you gonna do? I guarantee you, if for the 5 days leading up, you're doing more prospecting than you typically do, you're going to have more positive things going on, which is going to reflect positively for your confidence and your ability to really help people on the other side of that phone call, right? Then when it's the day of, you're so used to prospecting for 5 hours at minimum, those 4 or 5 days leading up to it, that the day of, you've conditioned yourself to just go wild and be a crazy animal versus I prospect for 2, 3 hours and then, it's hour 3, hour 4, and I'm already kind of beat up from it. You need to make sure that your mental game is super strong and you need to condition yourself. So I'm sorry, go back into it.
Yeah, man. And most people approach that first of the month, right? And they get one appointment and it's like, I've won one. I'm a winner now. Like, pack the lunch. Let's go, right? Or sometimes you're not used to setting 2 appointments a day, right? And you're a 1 appointment a day person and you get 2 and all of a sudden it's red panty night. Like, let's just pack it up for the day, right? And so the objective going into it, guys, should be like, it's our objective to get the most out of that day, right? It's not an ordinary day. Getting our normal win is not good enough. Getting outside of the norm isn't good enough. Like, we've got to go all in and make sure that our objective is to make as many phone calls as possible, right? So when the Breakfast Club ends, we're making our dial. We're not going up there and getting a sandwich. We're not going in, doing our hair, doing our makeup. Man, I'm going really hard on the women. Whatever you men do to get ready in the morning too, like it's important that you guys are dialed in, right? How can I make as many phone calls in this time frame that I possibly can? And when you get an appointment, right? Most of us, we get really excited, juiced up. We want to start pulling the comps, right? We want to start getting our pre-listing packages ready. And then we use that as an excuse as to why we don't have to prospect anymore, right? Well, I was going to keep prospecting, but I got an appointment and I had to prepare for it, right? Nope. It's great. Set the appointment, made the notes, dial next, right? The best time to get an appointment, guys, is right. Say it with me.
After you just got one.
Yesterday.
Right after you just got one, right? And so our clear prospecting time should be defined, right? And for me, like I'm going all in from 7 to noon, right? For sure, 7 to noon. And if you want to do things like Chris talked about, which is go ham for an hour, right? Take 5 minutes, go ham for another hour, okay? And you have a choice to set the listing appointments for a week out, or you also have a choice to set the listing appointments for that evening, right? Chris, can you talk to us more about that and what you encourage your agents to do on the first of the month?
Yeah, so I would definitely say that you want to be first, but I would also say, sorry, I would also like to add the fact of you're not trying to put yourself in a position, I believe, where you set an appointment and the person's like, come meet me right now. And she's, he or her is going to do that with, 10 other agents. And then you get out of your process, you get out of your strategy, you go and meet them, and then you never get back on the phones. So I would identify, what's my release date? What's the time in the day on the first that I'm willing to go out to appointments? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5? No matter what it is, you need to make sure you have a minimum standard of how many contacts and appointments you want to set by that time. And the more prepared you are before that day, as far as like, your packets and all that kind of good stuff, now you may need to run some comps. So you may need to put in your schedule, hey, I need an hour to run comps on these 3 or 4 properties for sure. However, you got to maximize that morning. Other people may disagree. A lot of people will say, hey, just go on that appointment as soon as you set it. But you really want to try to be first. And I think that if you can make it to where your first appointment is probably somewhere around 4, then you could really maximize in the beginning and really set up to where that afternoon and the next day is filled up with a ton of appointments. Don't put yourself in a position where you're believing what the seller is saying. Way too often, an agent is going to talk to the seller and they say, hey, my first day, like, the first is going to be on, I believe, on Monday, right? Yeah. So they'll say, hey, my first day is going to be Thursday. I can meet with agents. You call them on Wednesday night, and what they do, they listed the property already. And so, you have to ask powerful questions, confrontational questions, right? That will get them to see why it's worth them meeting with you sooner than later. And it's still going to be based on your time in the day because you're the decision maker on the time. If you're over there asking to do it based on their time, they're going to give you tons of excuses. They're going to be avoiding actually getting together with you. And you need to be busy enough in your schedule to where, hey, it's this time and this time and this time, and I got to fill those slots. Coolly.
So you could either settle for the yes, which a lot of us would be willing to do, right? If somebody said, yeah, okay, no problem. Let's meet next week, right? Or let's meet on Friday, right? You're like, okay, great. I got an appointment, right? You need to not be afraid to risk it a little bit to get that appointment a lot sooner so that you can go out there and win. All right. Also, guys, when we're talking about being on the phone with people, I want to make sure that we're doing a good job of what we call in the Breakfast Club protecting our sheep, right? Now it's hard to get those contacts. You get that contact, it's even harder to get an appointment. You get the appointment, you know what's coming for these guys. What's coming for these guys next?
Other agents.
Getting
Other agents,
calls.
right? They're going to get blown up by phone calls, and they're likely going to turn off their phone or not really be responsive. And us, being the agents that we are, if they don't respond to us, then we just look at it as they're not motivated and we write them off, right? This can't be true, especially on the first of the month, because this is the day where even agents who don't prospect, like at least the good ones, will prospect, right? So we got to set our clients up with the actual expectation of what they could expect, right? Now, Donna, you're going to be getting a lot of phone calls today from a lot of different people, a lot of those people not even being inside the country and are just lead generation telemarketers. I want you to go ahead and save my number in your phone now so that you know when I call, it's safe for you to answer the phone. I'm going to put a lot of work into preparation, Donna, because I know how important it is for you to get all of the accurate information so that your house actually gets sold this time. Donna, can you promise me that you won't sign anything until we've actually had the opportunity to meet tomorrow or this evening, whichever that time is, right? Get that solid commitment. And for you guys, it's like, okay, well, they could lie to you and say yes and still sign. Yeah, they could, right? But how many times do you guys get that objection in the living room where somebody says, man, I really like your presentation, Jonathan, it was really great. I promised Chris that I would at least give him the opportunity, right? Does that sound familiar to any of you guys in the living room?
I've heard it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's because that agent that you're competing with did a really good job of protecting their sheep, right? And so you've got to start doing the same. When you see something work, right? When you start getting objections like that in the living room, you got to ask yourself, man, what did that agent do to command that big a loyalty when they haven't even met yet, right? It's they're taking the extra steps to do things like that and protect their sheep, right? Chris, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Give people the excuse. And also I would say is give people the script to use to get off the phone faster. And what I mean is like, if I built a good relationship in the 5 minutes that I talked to Cooley, hey, Cooley, you're going to get a lot of calls. I know since we've been on the phone, you've probably been getting blown up, right? Can I give you a couple scripts that you can utilize to make it to where these people don't waste too much of your time and you don't have to stay on the conversation for 5-10 minutes at a time? And then just give them a script. Hey, let them know I already signed with just tell people you signed with another agent. Hey, I've already signed with another agent. What are they going to say? They're just going to get off the phone. If they want it bad enough, they're going to try to stay on the phone with you and really dig into that. But you'll find that 9 out of 10 people that make the call, soon as they hear their property's been listed, they're going to get right off the call. Thank you, ma'am. Have a great day. God bless. And hopefully the property sells, right? And so give them whatever you feel is a good excuse. I don't know your thoughts on that, Cooley, but people are looking for an excuse to not have to have too many of these calls, right? And so if you give them the right excuses, then they may kind of actually start working for you more than they think, because they have they don't have a financial gain possibly yet, but they have a gain in the sense of they do not want to keep on having the conversation. Some people are just going to be amiable or whatever personality style, and they're going to allow people to just talk. And all that is going to do is muddy up your water, right? It's going to muddy up the fact that like you had a great conversation with them, and now more conversations they have with other agents, the more they're going to forget about you. And so start giving them something to work from so that by the time you call them, like Cooley said, your number is saved in their phone, they have it. And now between the time you talk to them the first time and this time, hopefully the script you gave them to push people off has worked good enough to where you're still an ideal candidate to get the listing.
Man, Chris just ruined the opportunity for all the rest of you guys when he makes those phone calls, just doing damage. Hey, here's a script to get agents off the phone. My goodness, that's next level. I'm an equal opportunity employer. I embrace the competition, so I wouldn't do that. But kudos to you for just giving the middle finger to everybody who calls next. I think that's hilarious.
Well, I think, hey guys, it works. It's going to work for you the better you are on the phone. When they talk to you and they hear from you and the questions you're asking, and they go, man, this is the guy I've been looking for. He thinks just like me. I wish I had this guy last time. If the conversation is going well enough, you should feel it. They should feel it. And now you giving them that excuse is going to solidify that. Right. You know what I mean?
And guys, one of the final points I want to make is like, if you don't get what you want out of that day, right? It's not a time to give up in the evening. Like, even with your prospecting right now, there's a certain demographic of people who are going to answer their phone in the morning and a certain demographic of people who are going to answer their phone in the evening, right? And so the best time to prospect, if you didn't get an appointment in the afternoon or in the morning, is in the evening, right? From that 4 to 8 window block of 4 hours, there's a whole new subsect of people who are going to start answering their phone. And it's important that you double back on those, because those people have not been contacted by anybody. And chances are, because most agents give up in the morning, out of the agents who do prospect, which is not many, very few of them will double back and prospect in the evening. So don't be afraid, guys, to jump right back on the phones, knowing that it's your Super Bowl day. And you guys can take a rest that weekend and have a great weekend. But you need, when you're dead. But you need to go all in, right? And that's really what going all in looks like. When you set the appointment, guys, the final step that I would give all of you guys is do what I ask you to do, which is when you create an opportunity, man, turn that one opportunity into 3. Those couple of days, you're going to be driving around town on listing appointments, going to inspections, lock boxes, whatever it is that you guys do. You're going to be driving by those expired listings everywhere. Anytime I'm putting together comps, guys, I'm searching for 2 more or 3 more expired listings in the neighborhood or along the way that I can stop at to turn that one opportunity into 3, right? And the cool thing is, if I do end up getting stood up on that appointment, man, I've got 2 other opportunities that I already know about that I'm going to go ahead and take care of, right? And so turn that one piece of hard work, guys, into actual multiple opportunities. You know what I mean? Don't just settle for that one opportunity that you created. Create more. You know what I mean? And so go ahead.
I was going to tell you real quick, and this is a good story for everybody real quick. I remember when I was a kid and I was at my parents' real estate office, there was this guy named David. And David he prospected every single morning. And when he did prospect, the guy got a lot of results. He, on the way to the office, especially on the first of the month and around the first of the month, what he would do is before he got to the office, he stopped by 5 expireds. What you find is that if at 6:30 in the morning, you go drop a packet off at an expired, they're going out to their car. You, as a real estate agent, wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning. The rest of the world wakes up at 5. Right. And so, little things like that on the way to the inspection, on the way to this house, on the way to this listing, before I get to the office, before I get on the Breakfast Club at 7:30, what are the 5 closest expireds to me, no matter if it's the office or your house? And let me go drop something off at that 6:30, 6:45, 7 o'clock. And you will be surprised that people, number one, will go, who the hell is this guy dropping this packet off? And the fact that they're pretty much coming out of their house at that point could be a game changer. I remember when that guy would do it, he would take more listings from doing that than getting on the phone. And so it's like just these little things all added together are going to put you in the most optimal position of doing what we're talking about, which is not just one deal from the first, but 3, 4, or 5 or more. Okay.
And so Michelle's going to send you guys out the 5-day prep list, and she's going to send you out the daily activity structure and what that should look like, the kind of checklist, so that you guys can follow it. I know that I had you guys take notes. It was completely unnecessary for you guys to take notes because we did it for you. I just wanted to make sure that you're following along. What a devious guy I am. Michelle, what else you got?
It's still 4. This is how you learn, though, and retain. So it's necessary. So I got a question for the group on here. And I want you guys to unmute your microphones, right? Was this how effective was this for you, right? What was your guys' takeaways from this? I want to hear some unmuted microphones.
Yeah, what's the biggest takeaway?
Do you guys get a lot out of this?
Yeah. Always.
Yes.
I want to know the
Yes.
I want to know who's the difference of who's just here in another meeting, who went, okay, got it. I got to be intentional on this day.
I'd like to say something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just having the pre-listing packet ready before the day starts, because so many times, right? Like you set an appointment, then you start working on that. Like if you just had that ready, like you could meet out with them. If you did have it that day, right? I'll be there at 4. I don't have to worry about that. Like I got 5 of them already ready to go.
Yeah, for sure. And dude, I can run comps in my car on the way to the damn appointment. It's like, I don't even, guys, the real salespeople, you may not even need the comps, are too much information. You need to ask the right questions.
I love the idea of dropping a packet off early in the morning. What a great idea.
Thank you. They're up.
You guys mind if I go a little bit hard in the paint with you real quick?
Go ahead.
No.
Put it coolly.
You're
Okay.
going to do it anyway.
So I know out of every meeting that we do, right, there are 2 types of people, okay? There's that one type who's writing things down, and they're like, man, I can't wait to go out there and implement this. I can't wait to go out there and actually do this. And you're going to level up your business. And the cool thing about real estate is there are levels to this game. And once you unlock certain levels, you don't ever have to look back because you're not the same person anymore. Why? Because you went out and executed and you found out that this shit actually works, right? And that you keep doing that stuff. And that's how you take your business to the next level. Then you've got the second group of people. And I like to call those people habitual meeting attenders, right? Which are all the people who show up Sometimes they're here, sometimes they're not, sometimes their camera's off, they're not engaged, they're looking at other shit while they should be here because their business is suffering and they're not going to do anything about it, right? And that person is the person that I'm going to have a conversation with about 30 days later going, I don't know what to do. My business is bad. I'm not getting the results that I want. What do I do? This isn't working. Maybe I should go do X, Y, and Z. Maybe I should focus on pre-foreclosures. Maybe, no, it's that you're not implementing anything that you're being taught, right? And you show up, and kudos to you for showing up, but it's high time that you start doing something, right? It's high time that your business doesn't fluctuate with the ups and downs of the marketplace, because that sucks, right? You know what's awesome? Winning. You know what's awesome? Implementing and getting a result. You know what's awesome? Being a testimonial on one of these calls and being able to smile when somebody mentions your name. And yep, it's hard. Yep, it's difficult. Yes, it's all of those things. Why? Because the process weeds out the weed, right? It's a process. And if you're not willing to do the things that you're supposed to do to get the results that you're going to get, it's going to weed you out. You know what I mean? And the cool thing is, talking to everybody on this call, I know that every single person on this call, yep, you have the tools. Yep, you have the resources. The question you've got to ask yourself is, do I have the get up and go? And I want to tell you guys right now from experience, it's not easy. You will hit roadblocks. You do have personal problems. Everybody has those things, right? We're not unique. We're not special in that way. We got to get up and implement regardless of what's going on around us, because we are the entrepreneurs. We chose this life for ourselves. That doesn't mean we have to bang out 100 deals a year, but that means that we do have to get the best out of what we're doing, guys. And I hope all of you guys will take this information that we give you. I hope to see at least all of the people we have on this meeting on the Breakfast Club, first of the month, 729 culture, ready to go and ready to take full advantage of this day. The one thing that I do know is all of these things that we're talking to you about, most people are not willing to do, right? And boy, when you see things that people aren't willing to do, that's when you should really smile and say, man, I found out how to get you. I found out how to outcompete you, right? And so you've got all those things, guys, and I hope you're ready to implement. I hope you're excited and fired up about what you heard today. And we're going to hear a lot of people saying, I just took 4 listings in one day, and I can't wait to share that. Who on this call is ready to take 3 or 4 listings in one day on this first of the month this month?
I am.
Already done.
Go.
Get obsessed.
I like it.
Get obsessed.
I like it. Every single person's testimonial that you've ever heard started with a wake-up call, started with like not doing the things that they needed to do. And then one day they just did it and they were like, oh my God, this stuff actually works. And those guys continue to rise. That's you too. So I hope all of us rise together on this first. And let's set the tone for the spring market. It's arrived, right? 6-figure month season is already here, and we're all going to go out there and get it. So I hope you guys are jacked up on Mountain Dew, ready to go out there and do your jobs. I'm going to see all of you guys tomorrow morning on the Breakfast Club. Do we have any questions before we wrap this up today? Oh man, did Cooley make you guys feel the pain?
Damn, I
just hurt every single one of you guys. I hope not, because I'm here to inspire, guys, and I want to make sure that part of that is helping you get out of your own way. I want to thank all of you guys for joining today. Let's level up, guys, and let's change a lot of expired listings' lives, because what we're doing is noble. You're helping people who couldn't get what they want, get what they want. And isn't that the best way to make money, helping people get what they want? Guys, thanks for joining. Thank you to Chris Hardee. Let's give it up for him. This
Thanks,
morning, please, for joining. And let's go and have a great week, guys.
Thank you,
Let's
Chris.
go.
Let's go.
Appreciate it.
Later.